but more people need to realize that this is the domino right before revenue, sometimes directly revenue, and treat it in a more human way, and also do more things for them instead of asking.
Welcome back to another episode of the Revenue Reimagined podcast. Dale just gave me a good laugh, threw me a little bit off my game. But we have a pretty epic guest with us today. There is a story behind this gentleman, and he arguably has a huge part in bringing Revenue Reimagined together, but didn't know it at the time. He is the master of all things community, needs no introduction. Someone that is a friend of the company, a friend of the show, and a friend of myself. I don't know if he's a friend of Dale, but he's a friend of mine. Jared, welcome, man. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. And I knew Dale before I knew you.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
We go even further.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
Dale didn't hire you, so I feel like there should be like.
I tried to hire him. He decided to start RevGenius.
He didn't hire me because I never.
Fair enough.
I never,
Dale tells a different version. Dale once told me, he's like, I interviewed that Jared guy and passed. I'm kidding.
No. He would have passed if he did interview me, but we never got to that point. So.
But listen, it worked out well. Look where you are now. Like you've done incredible things, which we'll talk about. You have arguably changed the face of community as we know it. So I'm glad that you're here, man.
I'm glad that I'm with two amazing friends that once upon a time competed with one another for a short period of time, and now they compete with each other for the same prize. Still
compete against one another. So Jared, there may be a scoreboard. We could talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Jared, what I'd like to talk a little bit about is, as you were starting RevGenius in community, like you did it before community was cool. Like, what was your inclination of like, I should start a community, I need to build something big in the community? What was that aha moment that you had to generate RevGenius in the community?
So there was a couple things, right? Like, one, I wanted to get a job, and everyone that didn't have a job at the time, and we spoke about like the hiring stories or me needing a job, me sinking to the level of wanting to work for Dale. But
you don't want to do that.
But like everyone was like posting on social, and I'm like, what can I do more? Like to show that I hustle. Like it was COVID times. Things were tough. I'm like, I'm going to go above and beyond and just make as many friends as possible, network as hard as possible. And one thing led to another, and the community came out. You know, one other key point there was there's a lot of quote unquote experts, and I know Adam speaks about it. And let's give benefit of the doubt and say that they all are experts. We know that might not even be a majority, but I'm here and I'm thinking like I'm pretty damn good at some things, but I'm nowhere near the best at anything. And you know, I maybe I approached it from too humble a point or whatnot, but I'm like, I want to surround myself with people better than me, and I want to create a space that truly is the best collectively. And if I'm just, you know, out there sharing my content and my how-tos, I might be very good, but come on, I'm not close enough to, at least in my head at the time, to charge for something or any of this. So I'm like, let me bring the best. Let's create content with them. Let me be friends with them. Let me learn from them. Maybe actually become better in the process myself. So I think like the impetus behind community was two main things. One, wanting to stand out and just network like nobody's business. And I went ham. And I actually, Dale watched me. I honestly think I am the best at what I do. I was insane. Like I was up till 3 a.m. like just connecting with people every day. And I'm like, all these other communities, they cannot, like what I was doing was like automated without the automation. It was nuts. And then the second part was like the realization and like the honest, like I'm a great salesperson. I'm like a head of sales, like a first seller, but not necessarily a Dale or an Adam at the time. Like, I could teach some people some things, but like I didn't feel comfortable saying I was an expert. So I wanted to create a space for people better than me, and yeah, the combination created RevGenius.
So I do agree. You probably network better than anyone I've ever met. I don't think there's anyone that you don't know. Certainly anyone I've spoken to who you don't know. And I think that's in large part due to not only RevGenius, but just your ability to go out there and talk to people and network people and find people and have conversations. I think RevGenius is a part of it, but I think it's just innate Jared Robin, which is what makes you who you are. And I think that benefits a lot of people. Certainly Dale and I are here because of, that as well. I think that you do a great job of putting people together. But as you look at community and as community impacts go to market more and more, let's start with what people get wrong. What are some of the common misconceptions that you hear when talking to people, specifically founders? I'd be super curious about what it means to be in or start a community.
It's funny. I'll use an anecdote. I was interviewed by a small company founder who's like, "Is the benefit of community to like scrape all your members, reach out?" And he didn't use these exact words, but he was really close to this. And you know um, target them essentially. And I'm like, okay, pause, back up a little bit. I said you can do that, but I think what people are getting wrong, and I'm starting to think through like a new point of view to put this out there, is and this is not even just community, it's with their engagements with people. Like let's change the narrative from community, because community has evolved, right? Community now includes people that are influencers, creators, um, active on LinkedIn and social, maybe that are in RevGenius, Slack, and pavilions. Like community transcends platform. I've said that for some time, but like even the most active people in RevGenius are active somewhere else. And they each have their other thing. They might even be getting paid by brands in other places. How has this whole thing come together? Now, what people are doing wrong with community is being myopic with it, but like also, doubling down into it. Going back to my anecdote, thinking about it as a place to target first. Now, like let's back up a few steps. Nobody has the time to do anything that isn't going to generate revenue or the domino right before revenue. Understood. But more people need to realize that this is the domino right before revenue, sometimes directly revenue, and treat it in a more human way, and also do more things for them instead of asking. And the point of view, like we're in B2B, business to business. There's B2C, business to consumer. There's businesses that want to be more like B2C, business to consumer. And I'm saying, let's flip it and let's make it business for consumer, business for community, business for content creator, commerce, right? Like doing things for, having an element of impact for that person away from your business model. Okay, whether it's bringing education, sales education to schools. There isn't it. Somebody do it. An enabling platform, do it. You know who's going to jump in? Your whole fucking ICP is going to jump in to help you with that, right? Because that's pretty fucking cool. Now, you're not really selling to them, but you are getting closer to them, right? You see what I'm saying? So when you do things for, doesn't need to be a charity, although that is one thing. It needs to be aligned. Do things for the people. Get people jobs. That's something you could always do for them. Help people with the products outside them, etc. But so, back to the original question, What are people doing things wrong? They're trying to do things to get things from instead of doing things for. And you both speak on social all the time about the power of giving. When people have revenue numbers this month and this quarter, it's funny to see how quickly they lose sight of that. And when you're building community and you're building a channel or nurturing a channel that's closer to people being their actual true selves than ever, if you're not erring to delicacy, erring to not bringing that revenue on, to trying something else, you're going to blow that up and lose trust in the people that you need to trust you the most.
So, Jared, those are all super good points and such a long tail strategy. But how can organizations like the B2B space trust in, and how long does it take to trust in building this community or enabling through the community? Because eventually there has to be a return on the investment. And so, like, from brass tacks, like, is it 6 months? Is it 12 months? Like, what does that look like?
It's a great question. I think there's, and how I'm thinking about it is, there's longer term super potent stuff that could be 6 months to a year, and there's shorter tactics that you have to execute. But where it starts, and I've spent the last like let's be real, like I stepped in shit to an extent. Like I didn't consciously know what I was doing when I formed RevGenius. I actually realized I did know what I was doing, but I didn't follow any plan. Like, I'd done this before. I'd done this before in fashion magazines. Maybe you've heard that around. The point I'm trying to get to is, starting with a unique point of view will be something that you could execute relatively quickly, within a quarter, right? From talking to your people and stuff, that will set the momentum towards everything you do and rallying the people. Like, community to build demand, you really want to create a movement, y'all. Like, you don't just want like a Slack group with people there. Like, Slack groups go flat fast. They go
real
flat,
quick.
they go negative real quick, right? You want to create a fucking movement. Pardon my French. I hope
you could
your
curse on
audience
the
is
show.
above 18. So the first thing is creating a point of view that resonates with the people. What challenge do they all have that you could solve? Let's evangelize that challenge. What was RevGenius evangelizing? You could sit with us, right, Dale? Like we're for everybody. At the time, there were other communities that were just senior leaders, and I thought that there was, and it was kind of like the perfect storm. You had COVID, you had a time when diversity was actually starting to creep in, or like this world to be open to that a bit more 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And I'm looking at all these communities and I'm like, is everyone really exclusive just for senior leaders? And side note, do they realize at the time senior leaders mostly looked like us? And so even if you can afford to pay, if you don't, I'm like, okay, let's evangelize the problem subtly. Let's just say, hey, we have a place for everybody, and you don't even have to pay. And boom, 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 and I just told as many effing people as I could, but having that point of view was the key start to it. If I just said, hey, I have a sales community, I was the 42nd one, and some nice person would say, why are you better? But like, let's be real, why are you better doesn't even matter. Why are you different matters. Why are you better? If you're completing on the better game, why are you cheaper? You win by price, you lose by price. You win by features, you lose by features, everybody. That's something that I just had an aha. Coming from sales.
Do you win by features, or do you win by benefits?
Fair. Right. So exactly. And but it's also how you articulate the benefits to be something
100%.
different. Right? So like Tesla, an electric car, they're not trying to make a better car. They're a whole different thing, y'all. They're benefits, electric, and there's more with that. Salesforce didn't win by creating a better software. They said no more software.
Yeah.
And I think
Different. No
that
more
relates
software.
back
Software
to
doesn't work.
I think what you were saying is so if we like combine those two together, benefits for you, how those benefits are generated for you is more about what the community is really about. And so like you see communities like Sales Hacker that then gets bought by Outreach, that then comes back out of Outreach. Like what's the ultimate goal for a community outside of an organization, and what's the ultimate community inside an organization?
So you're talking like Sales Hacker before purchase by Outreach and then after, right? Like, what's the
Right.
goal?
Yeah. Like how's that differentiation when you're inside an organization versus like outside an organization?
People buy from people. That's why companies who invest in meaningful connections win. The best part? Gifting doesn't have to be expensive to drive results, just thoughtful. Sendoso's intelligent gifting platform is designed to boost personalized engagement throughout the entire sales process. Trust me, I led sales for a Sendoso competitor, and I could tell you no one does gifting better than Sendoso. If you're looking for a proven way to win and retain more customers, visit sendoso.com.
So it's a great question. When you're outside an organization, you could pretty much do whatever you want. No. Um, when you're outside an organization, there's a benefit because it's not obvious. Like you don't have one main master, so to speak, and you could create more for what the people want. It's like a lot easier to think like that. When you're with one organization, if you're not with the right organization, um, you still need to be doing what the people want,
Right.
but there's a lot of organizations that are myopic at the top. Going back to Adam's first question, if you're in one that's making mistakes and they're governing you like they would govern, if their metrics aren't aligned with what will actually be successful in the community, you're going to lose trust and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a lot more delicate of a walk when you're within the organization. That said, if done right, it could be 10x more beneficial. And I'll give a couple organizations that built community from the ground up that are doing well right now. Clay is one of them. I just spoke to them today.
Unbelievable.
Now, building it from the ground up, what's really cool and how they're benefiting the people, they've created a revenue stream for a lot of people, right? Like clay agencies. They're now getting into the rev ops and like helping rev ops people be even and marketing ops people be even more growth oriented, right? Like these people like have a tool to do this. Not every tool could do this, but they're doing a wonderful job. They've harnessed creators well, and they've created a brand where people really want to be a part of. They get value adding it to their profile. Like that's what we did with RevGenius. This is what Clay is doing as well. Beehive as well is doing a wonderful job. I think they're harnessing their community a little better on social.
Super recently too. I feel like I can't go on LinkedIn without seeing a Beehive post.
Well, if you go on Twitter, it's been even longer, right? Like they're just starting. When you post on social and you tag Beehive, just like early days with RevGenius, the value is that post is going to perform better, and we all know like that. That's incredible. So those are two organizations that are doing phenomenal. And is it any wonder why Clay is on the top 50 Forbes next unicorn list? Like I would bet $1,000 right now they'll have a unicorn valuation within 3 years for sure, probably within 18 months. Like
And that's
I will bet
why I
a
would
thousand.
argue
I
like
actually
if
did bet $1,000 on Beehive doing that. I got it on their last like community round. They actually cut my investment down because they were oversubscribed so much, and that was a kick you know where. But like they're going to do it too, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and I would argue, like you were just saying, it's almost more important for communities inside organizations to almost have a wall between the organization and the community so you can still serve the people. Because at the end of the day, where I've seen so much value in RevGenius is if you need something as an organization, you're going to go ask peers. You go into
Yep.
the community, you start asking about how's this product performing, what's this pricing looking like. I actually think communities is a huge unlock for a lot of organizations that are trying to do business development but don't know how to do it right.
But think
Yep.
about it.
And
Go ahead, Jared.
I was just going to add, organizations that view community from a growth mindset. And when I say growth, I mean acquisition, activation, um, engagement, retention, all of those, realizing that it impacts all different steps, are going to be much more successful than the myopic ones that are looking at it as a pipeline
Yep.
alone metric. If you're looking at it as pipeline alone, fuck you. Pardon my French. Like look at, because it impacts so much, and make your customers better in your product, turn them into growth loop advocates. I mean, look what Notion did. People weren't even paying for Notion, making so much money off selling Notion templates. And like, because they viewed it more holistically throughout. Clay is doing the same, Beehive's doing the same, etc.
So I think Clay is
Anyway,
one of
what
the
were you
best.
going to say?
Clay is one of the best examples. You know, where Clay
They're so
partners.
smart.
We love Clay for many reasons. But I think, you know, the same thing. It's funny you said Notion. People were selling Notion templates. Like I haven't seen a ton of people selling Clay templates, but I see a bunch of people giving away Clay templates, which turns around to people needing to purchase Clay credits to utilize said
Yeah,
Clay templates. Whatever happens on the back end, I'm not aware of.
genius.
But I think they've done a really solid job. I think there's a lot of people out there, though, that unfortunately are using community in the wrong way and trying to utilize community to kind of incorrectly use GoToNetwork, where, you know, they find out that people are looking at, and this is a story that happened to us just recently, two different products, you know, and they go to leverage that community of people they know of, oh, you know, go tell Jared, you know, what a great experience you've had with such and such, and like how awesome we are. And it comes out of fucking nowhere of like, oh, hey, Jared, someone told me that you were looking at product A. Well, I use product B, and it's really like, where's the fucking context? Like, how do you keep people from using community in this sleazy, selling, disgusting way that shouldn't be used? And that gives people a bad perception of community. I forwarded you an email this morning.
Oh, I need to see that.
That's okay.
I had somebody reach out to me on LinkedIn after we booted them out, and he said, I have leads I need to nourish there. And I said, thank you for your honesty. Like I was beside myself. I'm like, am I wrong with something? Because he was like so forthcoming. I'm like, wow, that sounds like important. Like, you need to get back. I'm like, wait, you're really telling me this?
Yeah, but it happens.
So I think, you know, taking a step back, it's people getting overly tactical with everything, community. So, you know, community has become another channel versus like a whole thing. And I think that's like, it's a channel to spend money and market. It's a channel to sell in. And I don't think so I've mixed thoughts on this, right? Like, I think one, that's logical, and the world has gone that way, and change is good. Two, that's not the original intention of community, right? So like, what does that mean for the future of community? Like, this is like what I'm going on my walks in the morning thinking about, because you push, and I think the word community in this channel, like, will probably change, right? Like, I'm going to probably push, and this is where my point of view is like, is it community that's the most important thing? I think yes, but I don't think that's, I think it's getting conflated with a channel now too much. So what's it called now? That, because it's still, we know how important it is to be human, to connect with others, to give value and do all of this. And that those traits used to live in communities. Um, they, they, they live everywhere now, but is there like one central spot with them? I don't know. I don't know. So like how is this evolving? This is still the most potent thing. How can you teach others? Um, is that B for C? Is that leading movements? And I had this aha moment a while ago looking at like HubSpot's active community and their evangelists, like who's evangelizing for HubSpot, phenomenal brand. And it was their agencies that stood to gain from it. And they were the most active. And I'm like, this is the way it's going. The people that are the most active in communities have businesses to gain.
Quick question. So we deliver and develop go-to-market strategies, right? And so you talk about community as a channel. Like, does this hang off of marketing? Does this hang off of sales? Does this have its own like channel, or their own group inside of an organization? Like, where does community fit inside an organization?
I think marketing in most organizations, I think it's go-to-market as a whole. I think, if you break it down to like the point of view that I was talking, that transcends everything. And I was thinking of like, yeah. So everybody has revenue as a number one goal, but I think everyone also has increasing category potential as a number two goal. I just spoke about the Tesla and the Salesforce examples. Neither competed in the old category. And because of it, they've created a much higher market cap. You could win 100%. You're not going to win 100%, but theoretically, you have 100% of market A that you're winning at paper clips. Great, that's a ceiling. To increase that ceiling, you need to increase category potential. I think that's a whole GTM thing. They'll put it under marketing, or depending on who you ask, like category designers and stuff like that. And the third is increasing market cap. So how can you bring on as much revenue as possible? How can you not be myopic and say like, oh yeah, we're just in the SaaS space? No, I'm in owned media, said Beehive. I'm in whatever Clay is coming out with, said Clay. Clay is not in data. No fucking way. Sure, they have data integrations with 32 different data providers, but they aren't that. They're building something bigger that hasn't even been there. Beehive, who was that before? People were using HubSpot to send personal emails? No, it's a whole new thing. Oh, sure, Substack. But that's already creating something new and bigger that Beehive's doing. So you see what I'm saying? So like that's a whole GTM. You're going to give that just to marketing? You're going to silo that? No, I don't think so.
That's why I'm curious where it fits.
So I truly think everything is under all of GTM. You need to align with it. Like everything. Sales is under everything.
That is a
product is under everything.
I agree with you. That is where we will take
sales.
That's where we'll no, you're right though. And that's a great topic for when we bring you back on the show, because we talk often that you can't have sales, you can't have marketing, you can't have success, you can't have product all siloed. Where does everyone fit and where do they fit together? And that is go to market. With that, I would love to do some rapid fire as we wrap up. I think that community is tough and too many people want to go about it and do it the wrong way. And I think a lot of the tips that you just gave are super valuable. I think if you want to start a community, expand a community, or even fix your community, look at some of the things RevGenius has done. Look at some of the things Jared has done. Listen to the things Jared has said. It's not as simple as, I want to start a Slack group. And I think that's really important to recognize. So let's go into some rapid fire. Here's the rules. 10 words or less is what you have. 10 words or less. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
If you weren't in tech,
8 more words. Sorry.
Nope. If you weren't in tech, what other profession, trade would you do?
Something creative. Right now, either movies or something direct to consumer.
Okay, cool.
What
Painting.
What's your favorite guilty pleasure snack?
Levain cookies right now.
What are those?
Oh, they are spectacular. Really cool company out of New York, women owned and women scaled. What I mean by that is they brought on a woman CCO who's like Harry's VP of marketing, like all this. And they're in probably about half a dozen to a dozen locations, LA outside of New York, Boston
Ah.
outside of New York.
You'll have to send me a link. You'll have to send me a link for this.
I will.
What's one word to describe your RevGenius startup journey?
Passionate.
Ooh, I like it. What's the most used emoji in RevGenius's Slack, Jared?
Damn, I should have this answer off the top of my head. I think I've said like 9 words. Let's skip.
Which one do you use the most?
Fire or hands up? Both hands up.
As we wrap this up, last question. What's your favorite vacation destination?
Caribbean.
Nice.
Yeah, man.
Everyone up north loves going down to the islands for the heat, especially in the winter.
I'm such an American that's gone like a little outside of America. I need to have Europe up there next time.
I love it. Jared, thank you so much for joining. Where can people find you? Obviously, we could go to revgenius.com to sign up for RevGenius.
Yeah.
Where can people interact with Jared himself?
Yeah, so message me in RevGenius or message me on LinkedIn /Jared Robin.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Cheers.
Thanks,
This has been
Jared.
awesome.